Welcome to the 393 Legacy of Gorilla podcast, a little special feature for everybody out there today. As you can tell, we do not have the Gorilla backdrop. We are in the lovely new space, the new library. Not the new library, the old library. But we welcome Sarah Riordan, Mrs. Riordan, to the podcast. And we're going to visit a little bit about the library. So tell us some of the exciting things that have happened.
Well, thanks for having me. So this is my second year here. And recently we just got awarded some grant money and got some new furniture. So that's really the big exciting thing in the library right now.
It is, and we're sitting in the wonderful chairs and the flexible seating, and you can move it wherever. And first off, a big shout out to the Dickinson County Community Foundation, and they have done a great job, and they have always supported Solomon schools, as well as not just Solomon schools, but all Dickinson County schools, and we appreciate their efforts in supporting things that make it a little bit more special around here and things that we just don't always have in the budget. And so it takes someone to write that grant. So tell us a little bit about the grant process and how did that vision come to light?
Yeah, so after my first year, I kind of knew that I wanted some different seating in here just because we do a lot of group projects and different things and wanted something else. So I kind of in the back of my head knew about the Community Foundation just from growing up in Abilene. Yeah. And so I was like, I wonder when that grant starts. And so it was over the summer I kind of started doing some research and it was coming due soon. So actually applied over the summer. And we anxiously waited, and you had tell them about the process, because the process was cool, because right in the middle of construction, here we've already have someone that came in to set up all the furniture that day. And so tell us a little bit about how you went about picking out the color patterns and what's available. Yeah. So I was kind of a little jealous because like right across the hall, it's really nice and neat and new. And then I was like, man, I just wish we could do that in the library. So once the grant money came in, then actually it was kind of lucky because I didn't get quite as much as I asked. But talking to you, you're like, well, you could get that stuff a little better price if you use the company that did the elementary furniture. So we were able to make the money go a little farther than I was hoping. Yeah. And kind of get the new couches included too.
And it all fits in with the color scheme that we're doing around here.
Yeah, so it's perfect. So it matches exactly to the new elementary school, which is great.
The tables and chairs behind us, it's the same chairs, actually.
Same chairs, yep.
Same chairs. Mm-hmm. I'm jealous of the tables. They didn't give us that option for the elementary school because I really like the red trim. But what other things did you add to the grant besides, I don't know if everybody can see on camera because we're not behind the camera, but what other pieces of furniture are around us?
So we have I would call it maybe like a half couch over here, and a little, these little stools can be chairs. And then, just a little flexible seating area for students that maybe are working on a group project or just need a space to read in the library.
And so you've got some, I know, area rugs as well.
Yes.
And so I'm not into the interior design part of our household, so you might tell me a little bit about, you've got 1, 2, 3, how many?
So we have 2 rugs. We have the one, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but the one right here in the seating area, and then I have one over where I do story time with the little kids, and that's more for like classroom management purposes. So it keeps them, they each have their own little color spot they sit on, and kind of keeps them in one area. And you
can't see it on the video, but over in the reading area, I think that's just a welcoming space. In a quiet space, and it's age-appropriate books around there. And so one of the things that we definitely did in the remodel was high school libraries were not getting used the way that we all remember them being used. Well, the way I remember them being used. The person behind the camera and next to me, that's a whole different story. But that we still have high school books in the library.
We do.
But they're not in the same area to where the little kids go. So you might just talk about how you set up as we made that transition, because that was a part of your first year.
Yeah, so Mrs. Cochran, who was here before me, kind of walked me through the transition. I think it was maybe COVID year they combined them into one. You might tell me that. Yep. And so when she retired, she told me, there's still some things unfinished that she hadn't done. So that has been a little challenging, trying to figure out how to get, preschool through 12th grade books into one space without anybody, you don't want the preschool kids checking out the older, books. So just trying to configure the space so it makes sense for the kids. So Well, you've done a good job with it. And we did that during COVID. The bond had already passed, and so we're in the design phase. And so as we did that, we're like, okay, let's see if we really like what in our minds we thought was a good idea. So we sort of, I appreciate our counselors that year, because it was a bunch of old bookshelves and thrown together make-believe walls, because they were really just make-believe, because you could hear right through them. But they did a great job, and we realized that we really like that space, is over there being a college and career center and a counseling center, college career and counseling center. So that's really worked out great. And then we have the classroom right next door. So you have for those that haven't been in here,
Yes.
there's a door, so it allows you to go over there and use that as a classroom if needed. Not as much as we first intended, because now it's used as a conference room too much, but
It's well used.
It's well used.
Very well
It is
used.
well used. So, but the new tables in here, how many tables and chairs did you end up getting?
So I have 6 tables and 24 chairs.
Okay.
And what's really nice is it's kind of allowed this space to be more of a meeting space if needed, because there's always a need for groups to meet somewhere.
Yes.
And so it's kind of allowed, we've had faculty meetings and things in here. It's allowed it just another space to have those happen.
So if you had faculty meetings in here, there was probably teachers at the tables, and then your husband was probably sitting over here on the couch, right?
Probably.
So for those that don't know, Mr. and Mrs. Riordan both work for us, and Mr. Riordan does a wonderful job in teaching our social science to our middle school kids. So he'll get a kick out of that,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
he will. He will. He
He
likes getting the shout outs.
He'll probably like that, as meaning that's permission to sit on the
Yeah,
couch during a
probably.
faculty meeting. So future plans, what's the next steps for the library?
So the next steps, if I can talk you into it, maybe a little paint job.
I think we might be able to handle that. We did stop on the painting in here.
We kind of, there's always so much you want to do, but you kind of have to pick one thing a year. And with all the construction going on,
Yeah.
The first thing was the furniture, and then just trying to create the space. Next year I have a lot of plans that I want to do digitally, trying to get our library software up to date to where the kids can access it a little bit better on their
Sure.
Chromebooks. So that's kind of my plan for next year.
Yeah, the junior high kids start to dabble in that, and high school kids live in that world the whole time. And then when they go to college or they go, into life, everything's done online and you're reading. So we need to teach them how to do that, because that is a different way of reading than having a book in your hand, for sure.
It is different.
Yeah.
And researching on your, on your computer is different than it used to be for, in the library.
So I've put the seniors on the spot many times over their reflection moments. And so, for yourself, getting into the educational world, we joked about it not being an interview, and it's not, because you're already hired. But we always ask about that, though, even in an interview, is that what influenced you to become a teacher? And so I think that's important for in today's day and age, where we need more and more teachers. We need substitute teachers, because you had to sub yesterday, I think. And
I did in band.
And because we were short staffed. And so as we start to look at that, why did you get into the profession?
I always knew I wanted to do something where I could help people. I actually wanted to be a nurse, was what I went to school for, and then ended up changing kind of midway through. Didn't have the stomach for it.
I actually remember that from the interview.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I just didn't have the stomach
now
for it.
you had someone who might have heavily influenced you in a
Yes.
direction.
So after I decided I didn't want to be a nurse, I came from just a family of educators. So my mom was a fantastic teacher, grandma, aunts, so many people. So I grew up in the education world.
Right.
So I just felt really comfortable going that direction.
Well, we're glad you did. And then out of the classroom, there's so many talents that people don't realize having a librarian. And Mrs. Cochran, bless her soul, did an amazing job, and the people before her. And it's been a while since we've had a full-time licensed librarian. And trust me when I say this, I do mean this. And if Kathy's listening, she did a tremendous job. And kids loved coming in and coming into the library, just as they do for you. But talk a little bit about the difference between your certification and maybe someone, you brought her up, your mom,
my
but
mom.
And how that influenced you to understand that it is important to have a librarian in a school.
Yeah. So my mom, after many years of teaching, switched to the library. And so that's kind of where, when I decided I wanted to get my master's and was looking to do something different than the classroom, that was always at the top of my list.
Right.
And so having that certification, you learn how you have the teaching background, but then it's just the collection management actually I don't think I didn't fully understand how much time that took.
Right.
You know, there's over 10,000 books in here, and it just takes time to make sure that they're
ready to be checked out. They're on the shelf.
They're on the shelf, trying to keep things current.
But then we also have you teach something that I think is really important, and you might talk to our listeners about that, because the great thing is that you're also a certified teacher. So we do have you teach a few classes and, do some mentoring classes, or what we call our activity/SAG period. But you might also talk about the digital citizenship. Yes.
So, this year they made me teach middle school, which is higher than I've ever gone.
Yeah.
So I was a little scared at first, but it's been great. So I teach a middle school technology class. So we do a lot of different things within, like, learning how to use Google and all the different apps. But then a big part of it is digital citizenship, which is just extremely important for them. They live in such a different world than even I lived in.
For sure.
And it's always changing. So having those conversations and
they're important because there's a lot that the parents don't even know. And so we need to make sure we teach them what's out there. And it can be scary at times, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
You take me back 10 years when I first got here. When I was the elementary principal, we actually taught digital literacy, common sense media, and digital literacy. And myself and the counselor, we'd split every other week. As the elementary principal, I'd come in and teach class. I loved it. I got to get to know all the kids, but I have a true appreciation for those that do it on a daily basis. It was hard to get it into my schedule. So thank you for doing that, because it is important to teach them digital literacy. And there's so many things out there, whether it's the research in the Google platform, or more importantly, the different apps that are out there and what they collect and what they do. And so I just hope our parents realize that nothing's ever free, including Snapchat. It's never free.
Never free.
It's never free. It always comes
your
at a cost.
information, and the kids get frustrated, like, why is this blocked? And we try to have those conversations as well.
Yeah.
It's not really free. It's an information, so having those conversations about why the policies are in place and why.
Yeah. People will always pay for information. There's value to having somebody's information, and I'm not talking social security cards and those kind of things.
Right.
Just having your email is worth money to businesses, for sure. Any last words? This looks awesome in here, and it will get painted. It will get painted. So there's no doubt about it, because it needs to be modernized. Even I'm looking around and I see some ceiling tiles that need updated and replaced as we look around the facility. But this looks awesome. I love the tables. I love the fact that you've done a display behind us and bringing the past in and our history, which is the yearbooks. So how many yearbooks do you even know? I'll put you on the spot now.
I know. I think I have like from the 60s and on up, and then there's like a few maybe from the 40s and like one from the 50s. So I'm not sure how many total there are in existence, but that's what I found.
So like 3 summers ago, a classmate, or I should say a graduate from like the class of 1973, I believe, who lives in California. So he had just gotten remarried, and he comes by and he's like, can I get a tour of the school? So we did the tour, and he's like, well, you probably don't have it, but do you have a year? I never bought a yearbook. And so we actually have a few extras of certain years,
we
right?
Do.
Of all the years, that one had like 4. And so when he came back from California, showing his new wife everything, and we had a great conversation, and they sat down there they sat down and looked at the yearbook for like over an hour. And then I said, hey, how about you? Do you want it? He goes, well, how much? I said, $10. Get it out of here. And so it was great, because that's I'm glad we keep it. And you sort of are the keeper of our history. And so thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome. It was fun today. I had a little 3rd grader. He's like, I want to find my dad. And sure enough, we found him. And
that's a part of who we are, and with our kids and our families being so transient, just like that individual who came back all the way from California and brought his wife for the first time and showed him where he grew up at. So it was just a cool experience for me. So thank you for all you do here for Solomon. We're so glad you're here. We're glad you chased your passion to be a teacher and to move to the librarian role. So we appreciate that.
I love it.
A big shout out, though, before we finish, of course. In all seriousness, it doesn't happen in these things. We wish there was a larger budget for things like this. But the partners at the Dickinson County Community Foundation, we appreciate their efforts, and everybody over there. They do a tremendous job. They're great partners and great people that give out not just this, but they give out tons of scholarships and do a great job for all the kids and
kids and communities in Dickinson County. So, but it takes someone to write the grant, and Veronica's always on me. Hey, do you need anything? Make sure you write that grant. Make sure you write that grant. And so I'm glad that you reached out and did take an opportunity. They provided us with, I think over my 10 years here, I think we've had 5-6 different grants. And so we appreciate all their support over the years and the continued support I'm sure that they will give to us. So, Sarah, once again, it was great. Thank you for being on.
Absolutely.
This is the first. We are going to bring some staff. We were just glad that Sarah was gracious enough to let her be the first one. She was a little nervous. She did awesome. And then also to showcase all of her efforts in the grant in the new remodel of the library. So until next time, we'll have another staff podcast. But until next time, thanks for watching on YouTube, and thanks for listening on Spotify. It's great to have everybody here at the 393 Legacy, a Gorilla podcast.